then again, we did do the track walk holding hands last night, so that was nice. But yeah, no, it's been okay. It's just a big learning curve. Just sort of feel like I've sort of been in the shadows a little bit, really, just plodding away, doing my own thing, which I don't mind, to be fair. Because I'm always tipping in too early anyway, I'm not so bad at defending because that's my natural line anyway. When it all stops, I'll look back at it and go, that was so cool that I got to that level. But I get why they have it, but it is quite intense. It creates anxiety for no reason.
Welcome back to Lee Hardy Racing. We've had the boss in. Let's have the rider. Brad Perrie. Mate, welcome back. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm all right. Not so bad. Yourself?
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. It's been a while since we've done this properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We had a little chat up at Lake District. I keep saying Lakeside. It's not. It's Lake District Audi earlier in the season after you'd been testing. And then we had a chat when you were still on the Supersport bike when we were here. Must be 18 months ago now. Might even be 2 years.
Yeah, it was 21, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it's about time we had you back on.
Yeah. Cool.
Tell me about your first season on the Superbike.
All right. Yeah, it's not so bad.
You got to elaborate on that.
No,
I'm not going to let you sit there and just end.
It's been okay. I think sort of way that I've sort of see it, and the way that, to be fair, Lee sees it as well, is we've sort of progressed upwards, which is what we wanted. But it's been like a gradual, smooth uprise, you know. So whereas, like, you can be honest and say there's been other people that have come into the championship that have probably had more impressive one-off weekends. But then the next weekend they'll have 3 crashes in a weekend or be out because they've got an injury. Whereas, you know, we've been pretty consistent. But now it's nice that we went from consistently getting in points and now banging on. I think I've had about 4, 5, 11 places now. So we're banging on the door top 10 and hoping that we can get one before the end of the year. But yeah, no, it's been okay. It's just a big learning curve.
I think, as I spoke to Lee about in the previous episode, it's been really fascinating to watch your progress this season, because we haven't forgotten about you. We have been watching what you've been doing and where you've been at, but you need to get some races under your belt, and I think this is the perfect time to sit and have a chat with your penultimate round of your maiden season in the British Superbike Championship. Different riders learn at different speeds and different rates of learning. There's no reflection on the character, it's just how you learn to ride a superbike, because it's a massive step. How have you approached this season in terms of learning and managing your own expectation?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you say. I think the way I saw it at the time was take it race by race and weekend by weekend. I think upon reflection, I'd probably say the first 2 or 3 rounds, you just absorbing everything. Like, you know, there's no real disappointments or even surprises. Everything's brand new, so you're trying to figure out even silly things like the schedule, all that kind of thing. Then I think when we talk about the middle part of the year, I started wanting to make that next step, and then probably end up like not over rushing it, but probably forcing it to fit, and potentially it wasn't quite happening naturally, and then you get a bit frustrated that you're not where you wanted to be, and you haven't made that step, but then you don't get any better by feeling that way. So I think the middle part of the year was a bit tricky, and through literally changing nothing, like the bike's identical, the team are identical, I feel pretty, you know, I'm no fitter, no weaker, nothing changed anything. Just seemed to got past that middle part of the year and things started clicking, and to do what felt really difficult to do earlier in the year now seems much easier. So, on that side of it, I think I just sort of feel like I've sort of been in the shadows a little bit, really, just plodding away, doing my own thing, which I don't mind, to be fair. But I think when you look back at it, and I'd like to maybe, like I say, look at the graph of my positioning at the end of the year, it's like I say, it is a genuine nice uprise. I think a lot of riders always can put a positive spin on their year, but as long as I can finish a year how we are doing at the minute, and like I say, get a couple little goals I'd like, I can honestly look back at it and say it's successful. I've stayed relatively fit the whole season. Not smashed the thing to pieces, which I think was pretty important in your first year of Superbike. So yeah, it's just been a nice steady progression.
One thing that sticks out for me we'll get the difficult weekends out of the way first, and I don't know whether this was a bit of a turning point for you. Knock Hill, that was a big hit into the hairpin at Knock Hill. The whys and the wherefores, not important, but the fact that it happened and it rang your bell a little bit. But after that, it seems that the upward curve has got a little bit steeper. So whether I don't know what happened after that, or whether you understood something from that. But after that hit at Knock Hill, everything seems to have fallen into place a little bit more.
Maybe I just got a banged head and
That's what I was thinking.
No, I mean, I must admit, Knock Hill that weekend was going quite well compared to how the first 3 rounds before that were going. Like I say, got caught out in a race, essentially had an incident. Now, I must say it was a pretty big one in the sense of, like, nothing was broken, nothing, I wasn't a wreck, but I think definitely knocked me a little bit. It's happened before in my career where I'll go to the following race weekend after that, after the crash, and feel absolutely fine. But I'm just slower. And to be fair, so the Brands Hatch was after that, and I was genuinely just slow, and I felt fine. I felt like I was riding really hard, and just there was no pace at all. And yeah, that point was probably the lowest point, because it's not understanding why you're not making progress. But then after that, I went to, I think it was Thruxton. I think all the rookies did really well at Thruxton, myself included. And I was a bit not concerned, but I thought maybe it's just a one-off, just maybe it suits the Kawasaki, maybe it suits the rookies with the flowing nature of the track. Then after that, we went to, what was after Thruxton? Cadwell, that went really well. Again, and that's one I did not expect to go, but I thought on a Superbike, first time around Cadwell, I thought that was going to be a bit of a challenge. But no, that was another good weekend. And then again, going to Alton Park, which is the second time I visited that, nearly 2 seconds a lot quicker than the first time I went there. So, yeah, and then we come to Donington now. So, I'm quite excited to go back to these tracks that seemed tough at the start, but now that it seems like there's more natural pace without forcing it to fit. So, yeah, no, like I say, it's something did click. I feel like I'm starting to understand it. To be fair to the whole team and Lee and everyone like that, they are trying to drill it into me, the things I do right, things I do wrong more than anything. And yeah, like I say, as much as I try every single day to perfect it, just seems to take a bit of time. I don't know whether that's my character or whatnot, but at the end of the day, as long as I'm making progress, I'm happy enough. So I've had a good season, I think.
You always want the best for you, don't you? That's always been the way. You've always strived to be the best at what you do, whether it's on the Supersport, whether it's on the smaller bikes as a kid. There's always your own expectation to manage. Managing that of the team and the fans and everything else is fairly easy, but as a racer, nobody puts more pressure on themselves than the rider themselves. Mm-hmm. So you have your own expectations of what to do in this class, but seeing what happened at Thruxton and something changed there, and then to go to Cadwell and finish where you did, and the strong finishes that you brought back from Cadwell at one of the most difficult tracks on the circuit, as you said, narrow, Nadgery, even narrower on a superbike than what you used to on a Supersport bike. It's not everybody's favourite circuit. And then the first proper marker of the season was Alton Park, because you've got a genuine back-to-back comparison. Yeah. And that's where you can sit and look at lap times, look at qualifying positions, look at race positions and go, yeah, this is where we're at. This is where we were. This is where we are. So my question to you now is, do you feel like a superbike rider?
Yeah, I think so. It's a funny question. I feel like when you say that, I don't feel any different to how I did even in Supersport. I don't think I've my head's not gone twice as big, and I don't deny talking to anyone. I feel the same person, but
I'm grateful for you sitting here talking to us.
But do I believe that I should be in the class? Yes, I think I do. So yeah, to answer your question, yes. That being said, I'd like to think I don't lose all the good traits I had about me. And the higher up I get, whether it's next year, and I'd like to think that the public and the fans and everyone like that sees more of that, because you're more in the the limelight again. So yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah, I'm glad you said yes.
Good.
But I think there isn't an ego with you, mm-hmm. and maybe some riders do. That's how they operate. Everybody's different. But there's no reason for you to change just by becoming a superbike rider. It's more about how you feel with the bike and how you approach a race weekend, in terms of, right, this is now my bike. This is where I deserve to be. I've earned the right to be here. But as a superbike rider now, this is where the learning, now you've got your head around the bike and being a superbike rider, this is when you can look at you've got the half a second here and there in the 0.7s. Now you're looking at 0.2s and 0.3s. Mm-hmm. Would that be fair?
Yeah, and I think I've always been talented on a bike, but I've never been special. You see some kids, a few spring to mind, that just in the lower classes that jump on a bike and just out of the blue, like they're straight away at the top. And other than like you sort of club racing and kids racing, that's never really been me. But I'd like to think I've worked hard at every single class, and the same sort of thing here. Naturally, was I the most outstanding superbike rider you've ever seen? No, but like I say, I'm hoping that it's the same as Supersport. When I went into that, I did well, but I wasn't outstanding. But I did everything I could. I worked my hardest, and I think I was as honest as I could be and true to myself, and somehow ended up becoming quite a successful 600 rider. So yeah, I'm sort of taking that same kind of morals and beliefs into superbikes that I think hard work in the end outweighs the talent. And like I said, I still got talent. I'm not saying I don't have any talent, but like I said, I do think I work hard to be where I am, and hoping that continues.
How have you approached this year in stepping up to the big bike? Say we spoke back in, it must have been March, I think. You'd only just got back from Navarra. How have you approached this season in terms of developing you, not as a superbike rider, but to develop your talent as I'll get this right in a second. To develop your talent to ride a superbike. That's where I'm going with it. I've got there in the end. Sorry.
I think the biggest thing is even the public. They all know the traits of a superbike. It's more stop and start and go, and whereas 600 is more flow, and so it takes no genius to know that that's how you get the best out of it, especially the Kawasaki anyway. But so I was fully aware of that going into it, but to saying it and actually doing it is two different things, and also doing it naturally. There was many a time where I would, obviously get the feedback from the team and be told what to do, and I would force myself to do it, and it might have helped me, but to then end up being able to do those good traits without having to be told, so FP1, you go out and you're automatically pulling more brake pressure than what you would on a 600, stopping the bike at the apex more than what you would, doing them things naturally. I think that's the biggest thing. It just saves us all time during the weekend getting to where we want to be without having to sort of go back over the sort of bad traits or the bad habits, really. So yeah, I think it's just I think the big thing as well from my side of things is accepting that what isn't necessarily the way to go anymore. And I think you've got to let your ego go a little bit and say, and accept the fact that this is different, and it might not make sense or you might question it, but I think when you apply it and it's better, the results speak for themselves. So yeah, I think just accepting that it's going to be a learning curve and you're going to be wrong, and as much as the people around you might give you a hard time at times, it is in their best interest that they want to see a result from you. So yeah, tricky but good.
So in that terms of understanding your view and understanding Lee's view, he explained about the track walk that you did yesterday, and in particular turn one, that he believes that you turn in too soon. So that's a perfect example of the team's view of a superbike, but your view as a racer from what you're used to. So now that to put that into practice coming in, that's something else that's going to help you develop as a superbike rider, but something that you've accepted that you have to have a look at.
You can speed up that process of the weekend, like I say, I can go into the first practice aware of that, whereas rather than wait until the end of the session and then Lee coming back after spotting going, I've seen this and this, so and that's the things on the bike. There's lots of things off the bike we've done slightly different as the year goes on, like the track walk, spending more time with the team. I think building that relationship and understanding, because everyone's different. Some people seem work better when you give them space. Some people you want to be around them all the time, and I think understanding everyone and how to get the best out of everyone is something as well. So yeah, I think we're in a much better place than what we were when we last spoke, and yeah, hoping that carries on.
For this point, we're sat here at Donington Park. We've not turned a wheel yet. It's Friday morning. So when you look back over the previous 9 rounds, as you to sit here and reflect now, if the season stopped now, what part of the season would give you the biggest pride?
I think there's a couple of things that stand out. If you were gonna, I think Alton Park was quite a I think the first race on the Sunday was quite cool. Again, you've got, it was like a full pack of riders, all including the rookies, and it's just always nice to sort of to come out of that group on top. I mean, so that I think again, like at certain parts of the year, I'd look at some other riders in particular, and they were a good distance away, and then I think that gap's closed dramatically. If not, now sometimes we're ahead. So little things like that give me a little bit of satisfaction. I think Thuxton was great racing. Okay, I know the Ducatis don't work around there, but to battle with Tommy and Glenn and sort of understand their racecraft as well, of how, okay, the Ducati doesn't work for them around there, but the way that they can make your life as difficult as possible to get past them. And just to actually sort of, like say, get into a race and think no one's pace is more than mine, and I think that builds confidence. And if anything, that's probably where the turning point was for me, really, is realizing that we can actually race in and around these people, rather than just clinging on and holding on. So there's been a few highlights like that. I think Caddo Park was one that, even on the 600, I found really difficult. Got some good results in the end, but just always one that, like I say, it's just, especially on the Superbike, I was thinking it's going to be a real handful, and to get the results we did, and to get through to Q2 and all that kind of thing, I just looked back at that and thought I would have taken that, So there's been lots of ups, but no, I can't think of anything in particular that stands out. It's just the last portion of the season that we've had has been really good. So the whole thing, I'm happy with anyway.
So it'd be fair to say then, when we get to Brands Hatch in 2 weeks' time, you're travelling home on the Sunday night or the Monday morning, and you're thinking back over the season. It's fair to say that you would be satisfied with the season that you've had as your maiden season in BSB?
As long as I can continue what I'm doing, 100%. I don't want to dip in the last 2 rounds after having so many good races. So I think I said to my family at the start of the year, when I was absorbing everything and learning everything, I think I'd rather end the season on the up than have a good start and then end up, having some crashes or some difficult times and ending the season a bit downbeat. So and not just that, but also with the points increasing and all that, it's sort of working maybe a little bit in my favour that it's taking a little bit of time, but now I'm feeling really good. Everything's worth a little bit more. So like I said, I think a little goal is to get the top 10s, because we've had so many close calls with like a lot of 11 places. So that'd be nice, but other than that, just continue with the solid races. Going back to all the tracks we've been to already and being faster and having not just being fast on the one lap, but the race pace, like from start to finish. And I think we've got a few things in mind that I want to work on over the winter, and we'll see where we go.
One thing I spoke to Lee about was it's not always winning, isn't always crossing the line first, and this was important to get across to, our listeners and viewers. They know motorcycle racing. They understand that not everybody can stand on top of the box, but it doesn't stop you winning over a weekend. And you touched on it there, where you said the distance in time between you and the podium is decreasing across the season. Their wins. Getting into Q2 is a win. And I think that's been really good to see, because it has been under the radar a little bit. It has been steady progress, but it's been positive progress all the way through. 100%. Which is something I think that you've quite enjoyed the journey so far.
And like I say, I think it's nice that there was a tricky period, and it's nice that we haven't actually let that sort of continue. We've found something, and like I said, nothing special. The bike's not really changed. I've not really changed. It's just we seem to have clicked, gotten a better understanding, and now having these runner races where we've been knocking on the door of top 10 for the last 3 rounds, got into Q2 for the last 3 rounds. It just lots of positives to take, and like I say, I'm not someone who can put a positive spin on a bad season. It genuinely has been a good second half of the year. So just wanting to end the season at Brands Hatch like we've been going, but maybe, like I say, 1 or 2 places higher would just been a nice sort of cherry on the cake.
Being in the British Superbike class, it is the pinnacle of national racing. With the peaks and the troughs of the season. Is there something you found out about yourself this season that you didn't already know?
Did I find something out about myself I didn't know?
Because I'll buy you a bit of time, because you are one of the more self-aware riders. You know you better than anybody else.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think I know now that I can race with these guys and battle and pass, and they're not, unstoppable. So that's something I've learned. But about myself, I think, I don't know. I think I'm still on that journey, to be honest with you. Like, I'm still, some weekends I've spent most of it by myself, like pretty alone. Other weekends I've been probably one of the more popular characters in the paddock, where I'm going around to some of my friends in the paddock and sport classes and help people out and things like that. I've been busy, and I still think I'm learning on what's best for me. Am I sort of an introvert, extrovert? I can sort of be both. Same with family. Sometimes I could have 10, 15 family members around, and it's really nice and appreciated. And then there's other rounds where I won't see anyone all weekend, and it's sort of what works best for me. Am I sort of someone that likes that sport, or do I like to be a bit more of a closed book who concentrates on himself? And to be honest with you, I still don't know really. So I think there's still lots of learning to go, but as long as I'm developing my skills on the bike and getting on that upwards trajectory to the front of the grid, then yeah, we'll see what works best for me.
One thing that I spoke to Ryan about back at Cadwell, that he explained really eloquently that I'd never really considered, that in the mid-pack of British Superbikes, and especially in your maiden season, you spend kind of the first half of the season going forwards and attack and attack and attack. Now you're into that points bracket and on the cusp of regular top 10. You're trying to go forward, but also you've got to defend as well. So how has the Racecraft developed on the big bike over the year?
Well, to be fair, me and Lee were joking about this last night. Because I'm always tipping in too early anyway, I'm not so bad at defending because that's my natural line anyway. Do you know what? I wouldn't say like I'm an outrageously aggressive rider. I think there's a few that spring to mind, but I normally make places in races rather than drop back. And I don't worry too much about the busyness of the Superbike grid. I think actually one thing I did say, I've said a few times to people, is the mid pack of Supersport. Okay, there's more mistakes there because they're not at that level, but the lunatic riding is worse. I'd rather be in a mid pack of Superbikes than mid pack of Supersport, not because like they're better riders than like that, just because the danger is less. I think that's the thing is again, like, Hickey, for example, I've been riding with him quite a lot recently, just where we've been ending up in the races. And yeah, he's a really aggressive rider, really late breaker and all the rest of it. But there's a lot of racecraft there and there's a lot of experience, and you can sort of see that. Whereas, it didn't happen too much towards the end because unfortunately I was at the front in Supersport. But sometimes you get stuck in the mid pack of Supersport and you just could not predict the next corner. And it would ruin your own race, like it would ruin the pair of your race. So someone passed you and you'd both lose, up to a second or two. So no, I don't actually worry too much about it. I never did. I think my first race back at Silverstone, I went from not a million miles away from the back, and next thing you know, I was ahead of Lee Jackson at one point, and then ended up fucking going on the grass. So I don't know. I don't mind the passing. I don't mind the battling. I don't mind the defend. That whole kind of racecraft is probably my stronger suit. I think it's getting up to speed faster in the practice sessions, getting in an overnight, getting back into it straight away in FP3 rather than building into it, being able to do it on my own in qualifying rather than needing toes. Them kind of things is probably what I need to focus on more. But the racecraft side of it seems to be not so bad, to be fair. It's not been my weak area anyway.
It's something that I'm looking forward to seeing progress next year. Lisa, you're on a 2-year deal, so next year is it secure? Is it a 1 and a 1, or is it a full 2-year deal?
So it's a full 2-year deal, and there's no no hidden secrets behind it. It just comes down to funding, really. I think we've both me and Lee have both done our parts to be here. So there's no IOUs or anything like that been left over. It's just, we talked about next year. Obviously some changes in the championship of where we go racing and things like that. It's just both him and me are talking about sort of calculating how much it's going to be and sort of where we need to get our funding from and that kind of thing. So yeah, I like on paper and to a podcast radio show, it's all sorted. There's just a few things behind the scenes that I need to sort out. I think Lee needs to sort out, and I went down to his workshop a couple of weeks ago and basically sort of went down the route of I'll do my best, you do yours, and we'll be at round one. Yeah. So
that's fair.
Yeah, that's basically where we are. So yeah, my future is somewhat secured anyway, so that's nice. Just need to sort of make it happen now, really.
And that is such as the nature of British Superbikes, and until you're a factory rider, that's the road you have to go down. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. That's a whole new podcast all on its own, isn't it? We'll not talk about that. Right, let's get these questions underway. You've been listening to the show recently?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I don't work at B&Q anymore. I do house renovations.
Oh, really?
And more often than not, I get put on a site by myself. Like, so it's just me there. So honestly, all I do is listen to podcasts now, whether it's this one or some other motorcycle ones or even F1s now.
There's plenty out there.
Literally anything. Like, listen to so much radio. So yeah, I do watch them. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, mate. So you know what's coming with the questions then. So we have 1 to 27.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I did think about the questions was the amount of times that you ask someone, because obviously they're all random questions, things that you wouldn't normally know, and then like I think it was Iden, someone he said like, oh, I haven't really got an answer for that. All right, so next one, I don't know really. Next one, and then next thing you know, he's been given like 5 questions for the first question. Anyway, we'll see how we go.
Well, you can have that. If there's something you don't know, I can always ask another one.
No, well, I'll have a go.
They're not easy.
Feels a bit like the chairs something.
Pick me a number between 1 and 27.
14.
This one goes back to the Tommy Bridewell interview. Who are your 3 ideal dinner party guests?
Voice break. Don't know. Like I say, I'm on the sort of.
Don't give me that don't know thing.
Yeah,
you just said that.
I just did that, haven't I? I'm on the tipping point of do I bring racing people or just life in general?
They can be present. They can be past.
Yeah.
It's who you want. It doesn't have to be racing. This is about you. This is about Bradley Perie.
I'm not a brown noser, but I would like to sit down with Marcus. If given the opportunity, like I just think I'd love to just find out just how he write the stories, the sort of what it must be like to be that good, and obviously the ups and downs of like being the best in the world, quite not easily but quite dominantly, and now having quite a tough period with Honda. I think it should be an interesting conversation.
That's one.
I think it'd be one of them. I just don't know whether I'd go with both of them. I'd like to sit down with either Noel or Liam Gallagher.
Yeah,
that'd be quite interesting. Again, going back to the story side of things, tell me what you know.
I think I picked Liam as one of mine, didn't I?
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I just think it's someone that probably would give you a live story without having to ask for it.
Which is a podcast host is ideal.
Yeah, exactly. And from the north, innit? So we like that.
Exactly.
Third person, dinner party. I don't know.
You see, you've been sat renovating housing, listening to these questions, going, answer the question.
I know, and I'm going to be at work listening to myself now, which sounds a bit vain. Really annoyed because all I'm doing is going, I don't know. I'm sort of revisiting my sort of childhood of watching Top Gears, so maybe get Jeremy Clarkson. I feel like as a journalist, he's going to know his stuff, isn't he? And I'm quite curious to find out how much of Clarkson's farm is real and how much of it's TV. So, yeah, just probably get them 3 just to
perfect. Mark Marquez, Liam Gallagher, and Jeremy Clarkson. I think that's a great 3. That would be a great night. Pick me another number.
9.
Tell me about one thing that you wish you'd enjoyed in your life more.
Motorbike racing. No, honestly, I do genuinely think motorbike racing in the sense of when it all stops, I'll look back at it and go, that was so cool that I got to that level, because I never should have got to that level. If you looked at me when I was 6 or 7, when all the kids start out, I should never be here. We never had the funding that, even back then, we should to get to the next level. And to be here alone is phenomenal. To have all the Supersport trophies I've got at home is cool. But I definitely over winter. I love winter because I think I absorb everything I've learned over the year, Whereas during the year, it's too fast paced to really understand what you've done and what you've done wrong and what you've done right. But yeah, like I said, it'd just be nice to look. I think I'll definitely look back at it and go, that was a cool period in my life. I was telling my girlfriend on the way here, I was saying, like, back when I was at school, there was always once a year, talking like kids, like primary school, where you sit down and talk about the things you want to be, and people would say, "Oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a superhero, I want to be a footballer, I want to be a..." And I was always the bike racer, and I was saying on the way down, I was like, I honestly don't think there's anyone in that class anymore that is actually doing what they said they wanted to do back when they were 4-year-old. But when I'm here, I'm just stressed and busy and just trying to do my best for everyone, and then end up pleasing nobody, and I'm running around pulling my hair out. And yeah, I probably don't enjoy it as much as I should. But so yeah, I would say motorbike racing, I should enjoy it more. I do enjoy it, but I probably don't take it all in, really.
I fully understand that. Fully understand that, because everything is pushing forward all the time. You're looking at the next session, you're looking at the next round, you're looking at the next season.
Year, yeah.
Everything is always looking forward, and you very rarely have the chance to sit back and go, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing, and this is great. So in the winter, when the reflection time happens, that's exactly what that question's about.
Yeah.
So I fully understand that with the way things are going. But eventually, with experience, you can then reflect. You'll come to a point where you can reflect after a weekend, or even after a session or a day. But that only comes with experience. So you can sit in a motorhome at night and go, yeah, we did all right there today.
Yeah.
Now what's tomorrow? But there's so much going on in such an early part of your superbike career that it does make it difficult to actually enjoy it. So thank you for that, man. I appreciate that answer. One more question from this one.
12.
12 again. Is this not like the fourth show on
Why
on the
haven't you
bounce?
gone lucky 13?
Yeah, no, you can go 13. Yeah, please go 13. That's
Go
a
on
good
and
one.
go 13.
You won't.
No,
Oh, you
yeah,
will.
let's
Yeah,
go
yeah.
for it, yeah.
What's the last entry on your Google search?
Tell you in a second.
Because 12 is what's the one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you. And so we've had that 4 times now. Considering these are random questions, there's nothing random about superbike racers and team bosses with their numbers.
Signal at Dunton's brilliant, isn't it? Can people see my internet history? No, I'm only joking. Do you know, it was actually the Monster Mob Ducati. Reason being was I've recently just bought the new Ride 5 game, and you can customize any bike on there. And I wanted to recreate that bike because I thought in my childhood, it was one of my favorite bikes. I just loved it. I think it was 2004 with Sean Emmett on it. It was the one that stands out to me. The one where he puts his finger in the air because he's about to win at Thruxton, nearly crashes, and the late Paul Birds just starts shaking his head. And I can only imagine it all went a bit hairier once the garage door closed.
It was a bit Pete Tong.
Yeah, I just thought Emmett was a cool character in the sense of he was a character. I thought the bike looked phenomenal. I just loved that period. So I was searching up the bike so that I could try and replicate it on the game.
Excellent. I like that.
That's how I spend my evening.
Good man. So we're now on 1 to 30 now.
Okay.
So 3 of these, 1 to 30.
30.
That's a first. What's your favourite music?
To answer the question bluntly, I'd say it's. I think the genre's indie. I don't want to be boring, but I like a bit of anything really. In the sense of 1 week I think I'm a bit bipolar. 1 week we could be on like old school dance anthems, to getting back into a bit more modern day like pop music, to then going back to my sort of. But it always seems to end up going back to my indie. Again, I like sort of Oasis, Charlatans,
Stone
Roses, just that kind of period, really. But that's not to say that I'm obsessed with it and I won't listen to anything else. I listen to literally anything, really. But yeah, that's probably my go-to anyway.
So you go from Dave Pearce dance anthems to James and Manchester indie pop.
Yeah, so
there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
I'm fully on board with that. So's Jennifer.
Yeah, that like 90s period. Just seemed like a good time, really.
But you weren't even around for that.
December 99, so not long.
So just.
Yeah.
Give me another one.
25.
Do you have any superstitions?
Do you know what? I don't think I really do. I think I like to have. Organization and a plan, but I don't. I've heard things like McGuinness saying he has to drop a penny down his leathers and putting left sock on before the right or things like that. Like no, I don't really have any superstitions. I just think there's certain things I like to do, and that's the way I like to do it. And you could even call it down to like OCD with cleaning, or I don't think it's superstition. There's certain things I think there's a right way of doing things. But there's no like pre-race ritual or anything like that. No.
I agree, because in certain circles, people say, I've got to put my left boot on first. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're right-footed, that's really difficult. I'm left-footed, so my left trainer goes on first. I can't put my right foot on first because I'm left-footed. So that's my. Don't look at me like that. It's my go-to foot.
It's funny, actually. I do have to put my left boot on first.
But are you right-footed? You're going to completely blow this out of the water now, aren't you?
I am right-footed, but the reason why I put my left boot on first is because, one, I'm not sponsored by Boots, and
there's an opportunity for a boot sponsor.
My left boot, so it's got like a ratchet on the side, and that ratchet system is hanging on by a thread. So it takes about 5 minutes for it to actually like click in. Otherwise, it will just pop off when I'm on track. So
Alpine Stars?
Yes. Nothing wrong with the quality. I've just had them for too long, really.
So if there's what size are you?
Well, do you know what? I'm a size 9.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could be wrong. I'm a size 9 in cities. I'm a size 9 in shoes, but I'm like a size 7 in Alpine Stars. Like, for me, and
small fit.
Yeah. Anyway,
if there's a spare pair of Alpine Stars, 7, 8, or some City 10s.
Well, I asked Lee if he could buy me some, but he said he'd just get some duct tape and wrap it around.
Going back to the 70s.
Yeah.
Bind your feet.
But yeah, so it takes me about 5 minutes to get the left boot on. So I do have to do left one first, but it's not a superstition. It's just I'm broke.
It's necessity.
Yeah.
Give me another one, Brad.
18. I feel like it's common 118 because everyone's...
It is. Yeah. Lee did that one. If you could have an unlimited supply of something, what would it be?
Money.
He said exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Wait, Lee did?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see if we get along now, don't we?
Give me another.
22.
All the high numbers. Ah, that's a good one. What's the worst sound in the world?
Morning alarm isn't good.
That's fair.
Worst sound in the world. Do you know what? I don't know. I actually weirdly listen to ASMR at night sometimes when I can't sleep, which a lot of people, it's either hit or miss.
To what?
It's called ASMR, so it's like soft noises. It doesn't have to be like licking or anything like that, but it could be like someone playing with a microphone end or whispering or talking. It could be anything really. It's just doing something softly. So when it comes down to, some people say like, oh, like eating noises, things like that. Like, honestly, there's not a lot that bothers me really. I think people are unnecessarily heavy-footed, so like it's almost like a masculine thing to be really like bang down the stairs. Like, if sometimes I think it's forced. Bad noises I don't like. I don't like Lee complaining.
Nobody likes Lee complaining.
No.
He can be a bit of a teddy bear, but he can also be a bit of a taskmaster.
More of a taskmaster for me, but then again, we did do the track walk holding hands last night, so that was nice.
You want to see the picture that we've got to finish the podcast with? Same sort of principle.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, he's very friendly when he wants to be.
No, so that's about it, really. No, not really.
Brilliant. There's something I was just going to say then. I can't remember what it was. It's gone out of my head. About noises. Mm-hmm. It happened earlier on. The one noise that really winds me up. What is it? What? The bikes? Oh, you don't like the pit lane horn?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. It's necessary, but I understand it. But no.
I get why they have it, but it is quite intense, isn't it?
It is,
like,
yeah.
It creates anxiety for no reason whatsoever.
It could be a lot softer, couldn't it? Like, hello, it's time.
Yeah.
Not like, get out! People, what Lee was doing earlier, stirring he made 4 brews. Thank you very much, Lee. People unnecessary clanking the cup when they're stirring sugar in or coffee.
Yeah.
Just put it in and just do that.
Yeah.
It's the same. You don't have to rattle it off the sides like you're calling the cows in from the fields.
Boy races.
Boy races.
Yeah, they get on my nerves.
Yeah, that's understandable. British Talent Cup bikes in the background.
Kids in general.
Kids in general,
yeah.
Oh, like we're on board with that
one. Like dogs, I absolutely love to bits.
Yeah.
But I just can't get the grasp of babies at all. I just don't find them cute. I don't find them nice. They just sound horrible. Just potatoes with eyes. Just don't get it. So yeah, kids I don't like the sound of.
Potatoes with eyes. I think that's a great place to finish it. I think we'll
Before I get cancelled, to say something really
we're
bad.
not going to get cancelled, mate. This is not my pod. This is our podcast. We can do what we want. Some of the stuff that's coming up, or that was on episode 3 with Roger and Roger, that was cancellation stuff. But thankfully, I managed to bleep out the bit that needed to be bleeped. So we've been absolutely fine. Brad, congratulations on the season so far. It's been a pleasure to watch the progress. Wish you all the very best for the final 6 races. And then into 2024, see what comes from there and continue the progress some more. But mate, congratulations on your maiden BSB season so far.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I hope it continues. And obviously, same again, congrats on the podcast. I do listen to every single one whilst I'm at work. So yeah, well done.
Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that.